Yahweh, Allahayanawa, Yahweh, Ahad, Shema, Yashar Allah, Yahweh, Allahayanawa, Yahweh, Ahad, Shema, Yashar Allah, Yahweh, Allahayanawa, Yahweh, Ahad. All right, Shalom, Akim. I would like to start off by giving all honor and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kodash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the house of David the elect. All right, I'm the high spirit wind Judah. All right, and today I want to go into a live stream entitled Satanism and Its Enchantments. All right, it's entitled Satanism and Its Enchantments. All right, because I was just going into the history of Satanism. All right, dealing with the American mindset, and I found some interesting things this morning. All right, and it just so happened that when I went back to sleep, guess who attacked me? Satan. All right, so they must have shown you that. They go to show me that there must have been some importance to what what we read about, and a lot of it is things that we already know. But basically, as it says in the scriptures, the righteous are more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seducing him. First of all, who's the wicked? It's Esau, Edom. All right, but what's the way of the wicked that seduces the righteous neighbor, man? What's the way of the wicked that seduces the righteous neighbor? Which the righteous neighbor is Israel, who we know today as a so-called West Indians, Haitians, Puerto Ricans, Americans. All right, so-called Seminole, so-called Hispanics, so-called West Indians, so-called Haitians. Those are the righteous that's more excellent than our neighbors because, first of all, we have a law that makes us excellent. All right. And secondly, we are inherently superior than Esau. Now, what they don't tell you on this side is that superiority is not so much of how tall you are, or how strong you are, how fast you are, how good looking you are. Really, superiority goes back into being righteous. As it says in Genesis, the 25th chapter, there was a great contrast being made between Jacob and Esau. It said Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents, and that word plain goes back to righteous, perfect in morals. So really, all right, from the viewpoint of the Heavenly Father, all right, to be superior, all right, is really a form of godliness. See, in this world, if you have good behavior, if you follow the laws, that doesn't make you significant. You follow the laws of the Most High. That's not celebrated. That's not honorable. But as it tells you in Proverbs, that basically a poor man in his integrity is basically in so many words more superior than a man in his wickedness, man. A rich man in his wickedness. So the Most High don't give a damn about Frank Lucas. The Most High don't give a damn about Nicky Barnes. All right, the Most High don't give a damn about Jay-Z. From the viewpoint in the eyes of Yahweh Shema Shai, they're dung, man. All right, shalom to you elders that's tuning in. Shalom to you Akim who are tuning in. Shalom to you Akwathium who are tuning in. All right? But it says the righteous are more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked. Now, first of all, who's the wicked? It's Esau Edom. Because it tells you in Malachi, I think that's in Malachi, how Esau will be referred to as what? The border of wickedness. Because everywhere he goes, there's going to be a contrary way on the planet Earth that's going to pollute the planet Earth. Starting with the reign of the Grecians. All right, then going down to the what? The Romans. All right, the way of the Romans. They even have that saying now, when in Rome, do what the Romans do. So what is it that the Romans do? All right, that's classified as the way of the wicked. Because we all know that the Romans are who? Esau, Edom. All right. So what is it that the Romans do? All right, what is the way of the wicked that makes them wicked? And first and foremost, it's a deviation or a rebellion from the ways of Yahweh Shema Shai. So what are the ways of Yahweh Shema Shai? Generally following the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shema Shai. Now, even if you go into the New Testament and you look up the word wicked, it basically generally goes into transgressions against the laws of the Most High, the laws of Moses. So there's a nation of people who they boldly go on the planet Earth, all right, rebelling against the laws of Moses, man. Rebelling against the laws of our covenant, man. There's a man on this planet Earth right now who propagates the idea that the laws or the ways of Yahweh Shema Shai is evil, that is oppressive, that is regressive. All right? So that's what we're going to go into today as far as this live stream, man. All right, we're going into Satanism because you're going to find out that Satanism doesn't solely go into an occultic practice. That's the occultic aspect of it. That's the religious aspect, the ritualistic aspect of it. But in ideology, Satanism is simply you don't believe in the Most High, or you don't have to answer to the Most High. All right. Satanism is do what thou wilt. All right. Satanism is you shouldn't let some outside deity dictate your own devices. You shouldn't let some outside deity put rules, all right, over your flesh. Because the essence of Satanism is please yourself, please your sex drive, please your hunger drive. All right. That's the essence of Satanism. And that's what he propagates on the planet Earth through something called democracy. That's something that he propagates on the planet Earth and something ultimately called westernization. All right. Now, this is the mind of Esau, Edom, ruling the planet Earth, started from the Grecian Empire, that you should be free to go off your beastly nature. Now, there's a guy, I think his name is Anton LaVey. I know his name is LaVey. He has LaVey in it. Now, he came with the second wave of Satanism in 1966. You can look it up on Wikipedia, man. All right. And there was also a good article on Satanism with the Britannica a dictionary, Britannica article, but they wanted me to pay for a subscription. But long story short, this guy LaVey, he came with the second wave of Satanism in 1966. And really, this became the birth of the mindset, all right, that covered America in the 60s. What happened in the 60s? People start to explore liberty. People start to explore a new way of thinking, a new way of expressing themselves. They were no longer confined to traditional ways of living. But all that was rooted in the new wave of Satanism. Now, if you go into Satanism, you're gonna see key words that pop up under the structure, so to speak, of Satanism. And one of those words is individualism. All right? One of those words is individualism. Does that sound familiar? Do what thou wilt. Because if you've ever traveled different countries, like myself, I haven't traveled countries, but I've talked to people from different countries all the time. I'm always picking their brain, and they all tell me the same thing, that in their own country, your family has influence over who you get with in life. Your family has influence of your career choices. That's why so many come to America, because they want to do what thou wilt. So one of the key terms that you're going to find under the principles of Satanism is the worship of individualism, that you're not subject to group decisions. You're not subject to what the collective is doing. This is one of the things that make up westernization. You do what you want to do. You go to college and major in what you want to major in. All right. You date who you want to date, so to speak. All right. Another idea that comes from Satanism is egoism. Egoism. All right. Not egotism, but egoism. And it's basically that everything is about your subjective self. And I believe a good example of that is when we go out there and teach the word on the highways and the byways, what's a lot of the responses that we get from people on the contrary end? Well, the way I see it, that's egoism. Egoism is basically how you see things rules reality. The way you see it, it rules truth. Hence the term, your truth and their truth. There is no such thing as your truth. It's the truth. But when we tell them the truth, how do they respond to us? Well, the way I see it, that's egoism, because you believe your subjective self is sovereign over basically the truth or reality. All right? 1 + 1 is 2, but the way I see it, and that's a form of Satanism. That's rooted back in Satanism. Egoism, individualism is a form of Satanism. Even going back to the 16th and 17th century, When Esau came into power, there was something called enlightenment. Now it's funny that word enlightenment is one of the terms because that reminds me of the word Lucifer, light bearer. What was this enlightenment all about? It goes back to the garden where there's a different way outside of traditionalism in which you've been taught. So instead of God creating everything, no, there was Darwinism. There was the evolutionary theory. All right. Instead of instead of you judging somebody for being a homosexual, or you want to put them to death for being a homosexual, one of the things that came with enlightenment is tolerance. You're tolerating people who live on this planet Earth contrary to how you live on the planet Earth, but you tolerate them. Now, what do we have now? LGBTQ. You tolerating people that have a lifestyle that traditionally would have been bashed. They would have been condemned. But no, you tolerate it because under the Enlightenment theory, these things, these ideas came with that. But it's all rooted in, guess what? See, we're bringing all these things out to understand how we've been duped in this society, man. We've been duped and deceived, and we've been bamboozled into going after the ways of Satan and not even knowing it. All right? Another word that's a buzzword for Satanism is progression. Progression, implying that the ways of our Father is regressive and inferior. And we're evolving from the ways of our Father by progressing into a more liberal way of thinking, such as a woman being domestic servant or a helpmeet. She progressed from that by going from being a domestic helpmeet to get her career. But progressionalism is actually rooted in Satanism as well as enlightenment. One of the things that came with the enlightenment going back to the 16th, 17th century is that science is truth, not the laws of the Most High, not the ways of the Most High, the ways of Yahweh Most High, but science, showing you that this is Luciferian, going back to the garden, all right, where reason, when there was a way introduced to Eve that was outside of what the Most High told them, okay? But all this has the same root, and guess what? That old dragon, that old serpent. But it's now that dragon came back into power during the Renaissance, and his mind and his ways dominated the planet Earth, starting with the rebirth. The rebirth, and that developed into basically the Enlightenment theory and reason versus the old traditional ways of Orthodox Christianity. Okay? No, science is the truth. I don't know if you brothers ever saw the movie The Life of Pi. Or the little boy, his dad was an Elamite. His dad was from Elam. He was a so-called East Indian who owned the zoo. But his dad departed from the ways of his fathers, and he adopted the Western thought, which was science. All right, because somebody got sick, he got sick, and those ancient medicines couldn't help him, those herbs couldn't help him, but Western medicine did. So therefore he denounced his Hindu ways and accepted Esau's science, Esau's reason. So that's part of the ways of that beast. That's part of the ways of the dragon, all right, in this infant state, where science and reason is the way of truth and not the Most High. But fast forward to now, you had something in 1966. This is past Aleister Crowley. You got this guy LaVey. He basically pushed the concept that we're not focusing on worshiping Satan. We're just focusing on getting the Most High out the equation. That you don't have to subject yourself to these rules of a higher power. That you should feel 100% free to go out to a natural beastly state. And he actually used the word beastly. All right. So, hey, how you doing? Good. He actually used that word beastly. Okay? Because that's why it says in Colossians, I think it's the Colossians 2, it refers to the laws. It said the laws are written contrary to us. Because outside of the law, statutes, and commandments, we are a beastly nature. But the doctrine of Satanism is saying, no, don't suppress that beastly nature. Live that beastly nature. Obey your thirst. A form of Satanism. All right. My man don't control me. A form of Satanism. Any structure that the Most High set up that you rebel from is a form of Satanism. Okay. You know? Hey, give me 1 second, Akim. All right. Any structure that's contrary to the Most High is a form of Satanism. So ultimately, Satanism is allowing yourself to live off your flesh. Now, in the New Testament, it's referred to they that live after the flesh. But you look up the word flesh, it basically goes into that animal nature that's contrary to the ways of the Most High. But Satanism is basically you adopted some New Age philosophy that gives you license to deviate from the ways of Yahweh Shema Shai. Hence, all these different categories that people compartmentalize themselves in, all these different euphemisms that people label themselves with to basically downplay their deviant actions. So you have women who partake in promiscuity and they'll say, look, I'm single. That's new age. That's a new age mindset. Women weren't single 60, 70 years ago. When they became of age, all right, all right, they're basically preparing to get married. But the new way of thinking was sexual liberty and individualism. I choose who I want to get with and for what purpose I want to get with them, whether it's long term or short term. What's something else that what's another term? Polyamory. People justifying different sexual partners. You know, women justifying different sexual partners simultaneously in a euphemism called polyamory. All right. But anything that's dealing with new age, when you hear the word new age, that goes back to Satanism. All right. It goes back to that 1966 concept of Satanism where we're progressing from traditionalism. Not saying that the way Esau had it prior to the 1960s was righteous, but it was rooted in some of the pillars of the scriptures, which is why America had a strong foundation. Okay. So that's why I named the live stream Satanism. What is it? I mean, Satanism and its enchantments, because they enchanted you through these movements that made it seem like we were progressing by entering into this way of thinking. But if you look at our people, we're in a shit position, man. All right. Jake is basically a monster. Eve is basically a whore. You know, the serpent told Eve, look, I can take care of you. You don't have to get this man. That was an overthrow. Abortion. That was a form of, that really goes back to human sacrifices. All right. But a woman worshiping their career. All right. If you want to be honest, that goes back to Satanism, man. You're neglecting your natural purpose as a woman and full-fledged getting a career. Now, do you have women who've gotten their degrees and stuff? Does that make them wicked? Nah, because we in Egypt. You work in Egypt. But for women who've totally neglected their wifely duties or becoming, a wife to pursue a career, man, and just have different partners, that goes back to Satanism. It goes back to do what thou wilt, man. All right? See, in the East is all about a collective, not the individual, man. All right? So, I mean, that's pretty much the main points. I think I pretty much hit the points that I wanted to hit. I think later on, if not today, maybe tomorrow, I'm actually doing a screen recording because I want to go over some of those concepts they brought out, man. But some of those things that I remember, some of those key words I remember is enlightenment, egoism, individualism, all right? Basically progression. But all those things are rooted in Satanism. And ultimately what that produce as a collective is something called New Age. So now we have our people who've been seduced into New Age, man. They're navigating through life through a zodiac sign, the free spirits. They put the Bible down altogether. So many of our people don't even attach themselves to the Bible anymore, man. Let alone Christianity. They don't attach themselves to the Bible. They worship themselves. Whatever impulse and feeling they're in at that time, that's how they're going to navigate through life, man. All right, that's New Age, and it's rooted in Satanism. Egypt was rooted in Satanism. Babylon was rooted in Satanism. If it wasn't so, how could Satan in Matthew the 4th chapter tempt Yahweh Shai by showing Yahweh Shai all these different kingdoms? Satan ruled every kingdom that we read about. They just switched up the different entities. They switched up the names of the different demons under Satan. Whether it's the Egyptian empire or the Babylonian empire, the Medo-Persian empire, the Assyrian empire, all those empires are ran by Satan. All right. So even now, what Esau has managed to do, he's managed to make the world like him. Because Esau, as it says in the scriptures, the wicked are what? Estranged from the womb. But what are they estranged from? They are estranged from the mind and the ways of Yahweh Bashar Shai. And now he seduced you into being estranged from the mind and the ways of Yahweh Bashar Shai, from diverting or estranging yourself from the laws of Yahweh Bashar Shai. All right? So he's estranged from the womb, but what is he estranged from? From the laws. Okay? So now, through something called westernization, he made the world like what? Him. As it says in Sirach, I think it's the 47th chapter, I could be wrong. It said that King Solomon filled the earth with his spirit. Well, now in this day and age, Esau Edom filled the earth with his spirit. The spirit of rebellion against Yahweh Shema Shai, whether it came in the form of Christianity, all right, liberalism, or straight up just Satanism, all right. Whatever concept that came in, it was all rooted in that old serpent's philosophy, man, which is rebellion against the Most High. And the way I feel and the way I see it is more superior than what you presented to me. But with that, I hope you brothers and sisters were edified. Once again, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Shema Shai, by Shema Kakudash, double underscore elder apostles, and elder bishops of Great Millstone Ruel. Peace and blessed house of David the elect, a Bible ball, coming at Shalom.